Isn't it so funny that when they cut the Pokédex and Shinx wasn't in the game, everybody had a problem? And then they showed us 2 trailers back to back with Shinx right at the forefront. And nobody talked about the Pokédex. Come on, Game Freak. I can't do all the work for you. What is happa-lappin', my beautiful people? Soul here, and welcome back to my story mode. So granted, I'm sure that you saw the title of the video and that you already know what we're going to be talking about and covering this time around. However, there's a couple of things that I need to say beforehand, kinda relating to the topic, but if you want to get to the nitty-gritty, you know what to do. Timestamps right down below. So I did somewhat already talk about the Pokédex situation somewhat beforehand in a previous video a long time ago, before we knew the remakes even existed. But now that we can actually see what they look like and what we're getting at the end of this year, I think it's kind of fair to bring the topic back up again, because now we should really get an idea of what the Pokédex should and could look like by the time this game rolls out in November. Now again, under normal circumstances, this video would not even be a thing. This thought process of mine would not exist if the whole Dex cut situation didn't happen back in Sword and Shield. That right there was one of the first few things that really started to put things into perspective for me. Specifically, what Game Freak will do to cut corners and save time and money. At the end of the day, this is a business, and if they can save money, they definitely will. But here's my thing though, we have come quite a long way since the first versions of these games, so that kind of makes me wonder, even if they were to cut the decks again or something like that, are y'all really saving that much more money? I mean, in the grand scheme of things, you can't be saving more than a dime in your perspective. But hey, who am I to say anything, right? I don't work in business. I just figured that one of the biggest franchises on Earth would have enough money to spend a little bit extra on its own franchise, but again, I'm probably just crazy. So yeah, that just about covers all the extra stuff that I had to talk about. Why don't we start getting into the main point of the video? What in Shinx's good name is going on with the Pokédex this time around? Now again, you have to keep in mind, we're all just coming off of Pokemon Sword and Shield, and these are supposed to be remakes. In Pokemon Sword and Shield, the latest game in the series, we still don't have the full Pokédex. We're still missing an entire 200 Pokemon. And with these remakes, we've gotten little to no information whatsoever. With the trailer that we are currently working with, they only showcased Pokemon that were in the original game so far, so it's not really giving us much to go on. So as it stands, there just simply is no way of knowing what this Pokédex is going to look like down the line. On one hand, when the game looks as similar as it does, it's only fair to assume that the Pokédex would be exactly as it was in the original games. In this situation in particular, that would mean that we would be rocking the original 490 Pokemon that were originally available in Pokemon Diamond and Pearl. This is one of the very few times where I would be more than okay with the bare minimum. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure that plenty of people would be okay with the bare minimum, considering that the bare minimum in this case would definitely be a much stronger start than what we had in Sword and Shield. In the original games, we had damn near 500 Pokemon, so I can't really consider that too much of a loss if we get to start with that in these remakes. If we're really taking a truly hefty look at our options right now, personally, I think I'd rather at the very least keep what we had back then. Oh, and to make it very clear, I'm referring specifically to the number, not exactly the Pokemon, but that number. That's a pretty decent number. Although, on the other hand, we do have to consider the fact that these are remakes. Looking back on every single remake that we've had so far, Gen 1 through 3, we have always had the entirety of the Pokédex available to us. I mean, granted, most remakes so far actually looked like remakes as opposed to upscaled ports, however, it still applies! This game definitely seems like more of a special situation, but again, at the heart of things, while it does look more like a port than anything else, it is a remake. I mean, it did get the name change treatment and everything, so you know, it's gotta be. So, what changes do we need for the Pokédex to be perfect this time around? Well, let's look at a couple of factors here. Let's start with the fact that this game is being developed by ILCA, the team that's responsible for the development of Pokemon Home. You know, that place that we've been paying monthly for to keep our Pokemon held captive while they just sit there and collect dust because we can't transfer about 200 of them over to Pokemon Sword and Shield? Yeah, they made that app. Anyhow, since day one of having it, Pokemon Home has been able to hold every single one of our Pokemon that we've ever collected. Any Pokemon from Gen 1 to Gen 5 that you managed to transfer over to your 3DS, you were able to keep and put in Pokemon Home so that you could have access to it from your phone or from your Switch. So at this point, about a year or so down the line, I have no doubt in my mind that at least most of us have put all of our Pokemon that we've transferred from Pokemon Home into Sword and Shield, or at the very least, the Pokemon that we were allowed to transfer over. So I'm sure that this doesn't come as a shock to literally anybody, but me personally, I expect full and complete access to Pokemon Home by the end of the game. Obviously, there's no way in hell that they would let us have full range of Pokemon Home by the beginning of the game, because then we'd all just be able to cheat, and then it's fun for nobody. So, with full access to Pokemon Home, I'm sure that all of us are now thinking the same thing. And yes, you, the little voice that just asked that question in their heads right now, I do fully believe that we should have full and complete access to the entirety of the Pokedex by the time that we get to the end of Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. In this specific situation, I'm thinking about the longevity of the game. A lot of us that grew up with 4th gen are gonna fly through this game no problem because we know this region like the back of our hands. So as far as the after game goes, I'm willing to bet that they're banking on the fact that we're gonna be battling each other online a lot more often. Or at the very least, assuming they have it, we're probably gonna spend a lot of our time in the battle frontier. Hey, in the grand scheme of things, I'd say that's a pretty valid basket to put some of your eggs in. But this is Pokemon Company we're talking about. They're putting real eggs in the basket and leaving them to rot. You can ignore that last analogy. I'm not even entirely sure where I was going with that. Anyhow, I can't see what kind of aftergame that they have planned for these titles. At the very least though, if you plan to make it so that we're gonna spend a lot of our time battling online or playing in the battle frontier, I think it's about time you give us some more variety on that front when it comes to these games. Again, 490 Pokemon are very cool to play with, but we did that when we were like 7 or 8, y'all. Y'all have introduced an entirely brand new typing and a bunch of different new Pokemon with unique abilities since 2007. There are a ton of brand new Pokemon that I have absolutely fallen in love with, like Melmetal and Obstagoon. Those are in my top 5 favorite Pokemon now. Nothing would make me happier than setting them up on a team and taking them online to body folks. Please don't get it twisted, Lord Shinx, you are my #1, always and forever. However, even gods need backup sometimes. Specifically backup and assistance from teammates that the opponent doesn't already know through and through. Yes, I already know what the Garchomp and the Weavile on your team are fully capable of. We need some new blood in these arenas, dog. And so that's where full access to the Dex comes in. I want to be able to mix and match Pokemon from other regions that would be absolutely wild. I'm taking Galarian forms, I'm taking over Alolan forms, I'm using all of that to my advantage, and we're going ham on the field. Giving us a wide variety to choose from allows us to mix and match so much that we're going to have an endless number of different teams that could potentially be capable of so much more than we imagined. Now, I don't know about a lot of you guys, but me personally, I've played 4th gen more times than I can count, meaning that most of my focus is toward the end game. Most of my time is most likely going to be spent building different teams and battling online. So if there's one way to keep me invested while I wait for Pokemon Legends, it's definitely to give us Pokemon that we haven't had in 4th gen before so that I can play around a little bit more. So while this is probably one of the most important parts for me, I don't think we should ignore the other side of things. As far as the main game goes, while I obviously do not want access to every single Pokemon that we've had so far in the general region by itself, I think that we should mix and match what Pokemon are available within Sinnoh. Every single time that I play through Platinum by itself now, I already know exactly what Pokemon I want on my team and where to get it. I should not have that mindset anymore. Y'all need to mix and match on the routes a little bit so that I can get thrown some curveballs on who to add to my team. Imagine, I'm strolling through, I already have my starter, Shinx, and Starly. That's already half the team. Now throw me a little bit of a curveball and maybe let me catch a Stuffle on the next couple of routes. Assuming that I didn't already pick Chimchar so that I could get Infernape, it would be nice to have a Pokemon that could learn some decent fighting type moves. You know that cave where we meet up with Riley and he gives us a Riolu egg? Maybe within there I could catch some kind of Minior. I really like Minior. And hell, why not throw Phalanx in there? Fact of the matter is, you guys do not have to make it so straightforward. You can throw us some curveballs and give us some familiarity with some new stuff in there too. I really do want to go through this game with a new team, and if you guys are only offering me the original 490, I gotta say, Chief, that's gonna be kinda hard to do. I've been playing Pokemon for a very long time, so it is very likely and very possible that I've already utilized at least more than half of those 490 Pokemon that are available within the games up to that point. However, 6th gen and above have introduced so many new Pokemon that there's just no way in hell I've gotten around to using every single one of them. Maybe if you guys decided to put more of these little underrated Pokemon in our faces, we might be more incentivized to use them and learn more about them and realize, hey, these Pokemon are actually really good. Putting these unfamiliar Pokemon on the field gives the opportunity for somebody to find a brand new favorite Pokemon. I'm sure that there are some designers that were like, why did we even put this Pokemon in the game if they're barely gonna get used? Hey guy, this is the perfect opportunity to put that Pokemon in front of us a little bit, and we might consider putting it on our team because we had never used that Pokemon before. There's plenty of Pokemon out there that I'm sure a lot of us haven't really utilized because they just weren't put in our faces enough. Yes, I'm sure that they were available during the after game and we caught them solely to complete the Pokedex and we learned about them there a little bit, but it's kinda hard to argue the fact that the best way to learn about the Pokemon is to actually take it with you on your journey, let it evolve and grow with you so that you can understand its movesets and how good of a Pokemon it is. In this region that everybody's so familiar with already, I think that this is the prime time to give those Pokemon a real chance. Just as much as the next guy, I love 4th gen to death. However, we're going to be playing with 4th gen Pokemon for so long, it's going to burn them out. Long story short, it's time for some new blood. This is the prime opportunity to do it, so take said opportunity. And I'll just leave it at that. So that just about covers all of my thoughts on what changes should come to the Pokédex. However, there's one more thing that I want to cover. What are the chances of them cutting the dex again? It did happen before in the previous game, so what's to stop them from doing it again? While I do think that it's unlikely, I don't think that it's impossible. Clearly they made that decision in the previous game to save time and money. While working on the main game, they didn't want to overwhelm themselves by giving themselves too many Pokemon to work on and animate. Sorry, let me rephrase that. Pokemon to transfer over. So they put a straight line down the middle and gave us half of the Pokédex that we have available so far. In a way to make up for it, they gave us the DLC down the line so we had access to about 200 more. Now again, this does not surprise me in the slightest. We're living in an age where updates and DLC are prime. If they could save a little bit of time and money to get the game out faster, that's just simply the way to do it. Pokemon is not the first and not the only culprit in this case, however, it is one of the biggest now. There is literally nothing stopping Ilka from using this exact same excuse. There is a very good chance that they'll give us a good quarter of the Pokédex in November and then drip feed us the rest down the line as updates. Now that wouldn't be the absolute worst thing of all time, but how they do it is what worries me. How much Pokemon are we going to start with? What's going to be left out? Are we also going to have to pay for some kind of DLC on top of Pokemon Home to actually have access to those Pokemon? While it sounds a little dramatic, I think it's very fair to consider. A lot of my favorite Pokemon weren't even available to use in Sword and Shield until we got the DLC. Again, beneficial in some ways, but kinda harmful in others. But focusing back on Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, there's just so many questions as to what would happen if they decided to quote-unquote cut the dex. If they did decide to do it, how much would we be left with? Would they still switch some Pokemon out and leave us with the original number? Or would they also shave that number down and give us even less but with switched up Pokemon? Frankly, there's just no way to tell right now exactly how they would do this. Like I said earlier, even if we don't have all the Pokemon at the get-go, that's totally fine, whatever. I don't think they really have an excuse though not to have access to the other Pokemon at this point. If they do decide to cut the dex, fine, whatever, just drip feed us and give us more Pokemon access throughout the year so that we have more options to battle with and you can keep the game alive that way. That's the best way to do it in my opinion. Whatever the case may be, I guess we'll just have to figure it out when the game comes around during November. We'll see how it plays out. So that just about wraps up all of my general ideas regarding the situation. Personally, I feel like this is one of the few things that we should be informed on when it comes to this game, because if there are any big potential changes to the game, if it's not going to be gimmicks or anything like that, I think the Pokédex is pretty damn important. Obviously, like any region, this game is going to prioritize the Pokemon of Sinnoh, so there's no doubt about that. but only having access to the Pokemon of that region again will only make this game most likely to be more not worth it to a lot of people. And I can't really blame anyone for not picking it up if this game doesn't have any changes to it. All I'm saying is, at the end of the day, this game is very close. And currently we just do not have enough info right now to deem this game worthy of the full $60. 4th gen is great, please don't get it twisted, but just porting it over is not enough to make me want the game, especially because I could just play it through emulation on my computer for free. And also I could modify it to have literally any Pokemon I want in that region, so you guys gotta do a little bit more to incentivize us to get the game. That's all. The Pokedex plays a huge role, and you just gotta pay attention to that. That's all I'm saying. So that actually does wrap up all of my thoughts regarding the Pokedex situation in Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. Whatever they decide to do, I'm most likely going to play the game, but I will have my complaints if there literally are no changes to it whatsoever. That would be a little problematic, even for me. Oh, what's this? It seems that I've dropped the mic. Well, I guess that means it's time for you to pick it up and tell me what you guys think about this whole situation. Do you want the exact same Pokedex? Do you want the Pokedex remodified? Should we have all of the Pokemon from the get-go and I'm completely wrong on that and everything like that? I don't know. You tell me. I want to hear all of your guys' thoughts because I am always in the comment section below to hear what you guys think about this. But with that, it appears to be skedaddle the clock, so I'm going to go ahead and do just that. I want to thank you guys ever so much for watching. I truly do hope you enjoyed. Do me the greatest favor of dropping a like and a comment, and consider subscribing for more content just like this, because we still got a lot to cover before these games come out later this year. But with that, I'm out. Thank you again, hope you enjoyed, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next video. Do me the greatest favor of taking good ass care, and I'll see you all next time.